Thanks for sticking with Fox 4 News at 6:30. I'm Jane Monreal. The days are ticking down until schools are set to reopen. And with Florida seeing a surge in cases, many parents are concerned about sending their children back into the classroom. In the next 30 minutes, we want to help put your mind at ease and explain the options available for your children. A few weeks ago, we focused on Lee County Schools County, and you can find that online at fox4now.com. Tonight, we're heading north to Charlotte County. Fox 4 Morning News anchor Lisa Greenberg spoke with Mike Riley with Charlotte County Public Schools and two parents, one of them who is yet to decide whether or not her children will be attending in-person classes, and the other says two of her kids will be staying home while the third will be going to school. So before we get into it, here are the options available for Charlotte County students. They have three choices: return to the classroom for face-to-face learning, attend online via Charlotte Virtual School, or be homeschooled by their parent. You will need to make a decision by August 18th. Right now, there is a debate over whether or not it's safe for schools to reopen. In fact, Charlotte County has pushed their start date back as far as possible.
The safety and well-being of our children, that's what's the most important thing. And so the parents, we want you to feel good about sending the kids to school. Well, our teachers are they're ready to go. We're going to go in and do it. But I will tell you, our date is August 31st. I would bet that this will change before August 31st again, because it keeps coming down like that. And it's very difficult. It really is. I'm telling you.
Is there any chance that the start date might get pushed back again?
We had a date previous, the 21st. And then we moved it back. But it had to be in August, according to the governor. And it had to be 5 days of face-to-face learning. These are uncharted waters for us, right? Just like as parents, they are for you. This is not what we're used to. There's 1,000 different questions and there's 1,000 different answers. And when you're not the one in charge of what's actually going to happen, it's hard to answer those. It depends upon what the Center for Disease Control says about, is this getting worse here or not? That's always going to be looked at. And there's a lot of things that are just up in the air that I would be lying if I said I can answer all your questions.
Is it possible for schools in general to be shut down again?
That decision would not be made by us. We can't stand and say we're closing schools. That would come from the local Charlotte Department of Health and the Center for Disease Control.
If you choose to sign your student up for virtual classes, you will need to go to the district's website, yourcharlotteschools.net, and fill out the registration. The last question asks if you need a device. Anyone who does will be issued a computer to attend lessons and complete assignments. Now, there is concern that because students will need to be self-motivated, they may not succeed like they would with a hands-on help from a teacher and may end up needing to choose another option.
If we do decide to do Charlotte virtual, is there a timeline that we are able to opt back into brick and mortar?
I don't think that's set in stone right now. But what our fear is, in a way, is, if we don't want the parent to jump too soon, because then you're not going to be able to go right back. You know what I mean? And
okay.
You might have thought, oh my gosh, I should have waited and given it another week. What I would try and do, and I would try is, I'm sure those teachers have hours where they're available by phone. I would try and have like a conference over the phone with the teacher. Say, my child's trying hard. This is so difficult for him or her. And say, I'm not asking you. I know you can't help 25 kids all day long and all night long, but can you give me some suggestions what I can do to help them better or her better, succeed here? Because that's what we're looking for. But
right.
you got to give it a chance. I think you got to give it a chance. And if it's not working, then you're able to change. You are.
If I enroll him in the virtual school and they unenroll him from Meadow Park, does that mean he has to switch elementary schools if I re-enroll him, if the program doesn't work for him?
You can enroll him in Charlotte Virtual, and if it's not working, you can go back. But you can't go back to Charlotte Virtual and back and forth. But we understand it's a different learning style for every child. And he could go back to Meadow Park or whoever your child is.
Okay.
That wouldn't be a problem. Now, I will say this, the only way is if the school was at capacity. Sometimes Sally Jones is at capacity, but that's not at Meadow Park. That situation doesn't exist.
In the past, we've told you how Florida schools are overcrowded. While the number of students enrolling in on-campus classes looks like it will decrease this year because of the pandemic, it still doesn't stop concerns that there could be too many students in one classroom to social distance.
Are you guys doing anything to lessen the number of students in a classroom or that student to teacher ratio?
We've got to look at our registration and our population when it gets there. I know our registration in Charlotte virtual is higher, and so that will relieve a little bit. But we got 15,500 students and 2,200 staff members, so that's a lot of people to put in. We had 22 buildings.
Be arranged to help maximize space and increase social distancing between students. Each day, students and employees will be required to answer a series of health-related questions before entering any school building, bus, or district property. Parents are being encouraged to take their child's temperature before sending them off to school. And the CDC says while it's important for areas to consider the full spectrum of risks and benefits of reopening schools, they are in favor of it, saying not only do children thrive in an in-person learning environment, but COVID-19 poses relatively low risks to school-age children. They do recommend schools clean and disinfect regularly, as well as promote hand washing and sanitizing. And this is something the Charlotte County School District's been working on since the pandemic began.
Do we also anticipate to have more of the cleaning supplies in the classrooms, hand washing stations or hand sanitizing stations, and kind of having the teachers remind the students to
Absolutely.
take part in those activities?
That started in March with the instruction on washing their hands and everything, and how very important it was. Our custodians have been full tilt all summer and getting the schools ready. And there's a machine, I don't know who put out, but it looks like the little R2D2. And it's like from Clorox or something, and it's a fogger almost, that they can go in now and sanitize a room in a couple minutes. And we have those around the district, and we're going to be very cautious about cleaning, and because that's so important. The tops, the surfaces, the door handles.
And finally, lunchtime is a popular time for students to talk with and hang out with their friends. But with physical distancing guidelines in place, the district needs to figure out how to feed all of the students while keeping them safe.
What will happen with the lunches? Are they going to eat lunch in their classrooms?
That's something I will say we're working on right now. Theoretically, you'd have 500 kids in the lunchroom. So right away, we're not social distancing.
No.
And when they say, well, the state recommends you pack the lunches up and take them down to the classroom. Well, usually you get 3 or 4 choices, their main thing, and, vegetable and a dessert. And some of the kids with allergies, they're not going to, so we're working on that hard. And we're going to do everything in the world we can to observe the social distancing, yet make sure the kids can eat and enjoy their lunch. I want to be brutally honest. I'm not going to try and trick you or pretend that, we're going to do everything we can to observe all those rules, yet make it so it's not burdensome for the kids. We don't want that.
And I've heard some districts even are like allowing children to eat lunch outside to help kind of maximize the amount of space. And that's something that you guys are all working on right now at Charlotte County, is kind of finalizing that lunch plan.
We're trying to figure out how we can do it so it works for the kids. We know the business of education. Our classroom teachers know what it's like to manage a classroom. Our principals know what it's like to manage a school, and our superintendent knows what it's like to manage a district. But the people making the rules in Tallahassee don't, because they're not teachers, they're not principals, they're not educators.
Up next, a big question many parents are concerned about: what happens if someone in their child's school tests positive for the coronavirus? We'll tell you about their plans in place next. You're watching Fox 4 News at 6.